The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and got my Kentucky Derby hat on. Lots of feathers. I want to look really stylish for the Kentucky Derby. Actually, I don't, but I really wish someday I could go to the Kentucky Derby. I would just love to get a fancy hat. But anyway, I'm Esther Gulius, the Tax Lady. We're going to talk about taxes, things to make sure that you're ready for 2025. Remember, if you have any questions about gifting, inheritance, houses, trusts, you want to give us a call, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And I got my two buddies here with me, Tiffany, Fabian. You got your hat on, Tiff?
Absolutely. You went to one of the races and wore a hat with Chrissy and Kevin. Where did you go?
Well, that was in Saratoga, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kentucky Derby, I can't even. I would just love to go to one, but I don't even know how you get tickets to get in. It's like going to the Super
Probably
Bowl.
you got to win the lottery you got to enter into a lottery or something, maybe.
Yeah, but my daughter, your sister, Chrissy, she's got a fascinator she was wearing today, so she's going to a big party.
Ah,
So,
she
anyway.
will look beautiful.
And Christopher Fabian, how are you, Chris?
Hello, Esther.
Hello, Christopher. Okay, here's the thing. Everybody's better. If you listen to anybody, they're talking about Trump's tax cuts. And if they don't re-up the Tax Cuts and Job Act that they did in 2022, then it's going to be a problem, right?
Absolutely. The standard deduction is doubled right now, and by gosh, that really helps taxpayers a lot, significantly. And so that is going to be a problem.
Because the child tax credit for children under the age of 17 before the last round of tax cuts, which expire in December 31st, was $1,000. Now it's $2,000, right?
Right.
And actually, Kathy Hochul's got something where she's going to give $1,000 for children under the age of 4, right?
Right, 1,000.
That's her proposal.
Yes. Right, and it's going to get all confusing, and what the federal does doesn't mean the state's going to do
That's
it.
for
and
sure.
You gotta just pay attention. You gotta read carefully and not just listen to what's being said.
And you have to be proactive and plan, right?
Right.
And it's tough to plan when you don't even know what the plan is going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, part of the law is that you have to have your tax liability paid in advance before December 31st in periodic payments. So actually January 15th. So it'd be April, June, September, and January 15th of the next year. And if you don't do it that way, then they penalize you if you owe more than $1,000, right?
Yeah, the IRS likes their money in equal periodic payments throughout the year. I know we just had a letter the other day at the office, and somebody, she didn't do that, and so there was a $150 fine, and so it was really hard for her to get over that thought, but they don't like their money all at the end. They want it spread out throughout the year.
Right. And that's, or else they penalize you. So, and that's where the W-4 comes in. And I think last week we kind of talked about it, but the W-4 is the steering mechanism that your employer uses to take money out of your paycheck and send it into the federal government and state of New York, right? And so in that steering mechanism, you have to know how to fill it out. And the new W-4, would you guys say, is easy or hard to do?
Very confusing.
Because if you really fill out each one of those sections basically directs the employer to take out more or less, right? And so, especially in a two-working household, you have to be very careful, because if both of you say, oh, we have 4 children or 2 children, or basically it's like 4 children, because they're going to take out less out of his and less out of hers, because that's what you said. And that really you and your spouse have to collaborate when you're doing the W-4.
Yeah,
right?
especially even if you don't have children, there's a section that says, are you married? And if so, does your spouse work? And then you have to go to a different part.
But really, you don't need to, because you can really just blow by all of those adjustments and just get to the bottom and say, I'm single, and that's it, right? Or married, filing a joint return.
Yeah,
You don't
and you
have to
want-
fill out all those things.
Yeah,
Right, and
you
you
do.
want extra withholdings. Usually
And,
that's what
and
I do.
if you need extra withholding, you can say that at the very last. I'd like what's happening now plus some extra. And sometimes when you think about that, that might be the easiest thing to do. Just don't change your W-4, just have extra withheld, especially if you found out this year you owed money.
Right.
Yeah. I just had somebody come in on Friday, and we sat down together, and she owed around $2,500, and I had told her that there's a penalty, and so she goes, I don't want that penalty. So I gave her 2 options, either some withholdings from her Social Security, or she could do estimated payments, and she opted to do estimated payments because she felt
Well,
like
that's my next thing. So if you owe the federal government money and you don't want it to come out of your pension, or you don't want it to come out of your Social Security, or you don't want it to come out of your wages, then the only other option you have is to make estimated payments. Explain what those are.
Those are your prepayments to the government. They're also called quarterlies, that are due on April, June, September, and then January of the following year on the 15th. And it prepays your taxes throughout the year evenly, so you hopefully do not get a penalty as long as you do pay in your last year's tax.
Right.
So,
But, all right, so people that owe money, the requirement is that you can't owe money. If you owe more than $1,000, they're going to come get you. The state of New York is even worse, right?
yeah, it's 300.
Right. So if you owe the taxing agencies $300 on New York, $1,000 on the federal, then they're going to tack on a penalty. And a lot of people go, really? Because I've had clients that said, well, I'd rather have it in my bank account than theirs. Well, that's great. They're going to charge you more than you would have gotten in your bank account.
Right. It's almost like the health insurance, if you get it through the exchange, where they're giving you a subsidy. You have to, when you sign up for the health insurance, you have to guess what your income's going to be, and then you reconcile it at the end. And if you guessed too low, you're going to pay back
Right.
the subsidy. Well, if you guess on your income is going to be low on your income tax, and you should have paid more in estimates or more withholding, and you didn't, you could get penalized for not giving enough money to the IRS.
Right, and I don't know about you, if you've had these conversations, I know you have with your clients. They go, really? They penalize me? And I'm kind of guilty in this, because our computer automatically computes the penalty. So then I turn I'll say to them, yeah, see that $80 penalty? That's because you under withheld. Really? And so the law says as you earn it, you have to pay it, either through withholding on your paycheck, withholding on your Social Security, withholding on your interest and dividends, withholding on your pension, or else they're going to penalize you if you owe more than $1,000.
Yep.
So, or you can do estimated payments. So I just thought it would be important to talk about this. And I know
Yeah.
we have Kevin that's been waiting.
Another
Yes.
thing, Kevin's waiting, and I love Kevin. Another thing is one of my clients, we just adjusted his withholdings the other way because he was giving too much to
Oh,
New York
good point.
State.
Good
And so then
point.
you have to declare it every year as income. So him and we had a conversation. You shouldn't have this much withheld for New York. And so it goes in another direction too.
Well, obviously, if you're having too much withheld, then what you're doing is you're saying to them, you guys keep my $10,000. You do what you want, buy bombs, whatever. And then maybe when I file my return, if you're nice enough, give it back to me. That's the other side. That's the flip side of the withholding coin, is that you want to get to about even. A big refund doesn't make any sense, and believe me, a big balance due really doesn't make any sense because they're going to penalize you.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break, and Kevin will be with you on the other side of the break. Hey everybody, this is Esther Gulias, the tax lady. Hey, we're still doing lots of taxes. If you haven't filed, don't think you got to wait till next year. We are doing lots of taxes. We consolidate all of our branch offices into one office at 1890 Colvin Boulevard in Tonawanda. And we're all busy doing taxes every day, multiple taxes. If you want to get them in, especially if you filed an extension until October the 15th, don't wait to that extension deadline, because you want to make sure that you find out what your liability is going to be so that you aren't surprised.
Or if you have a refund, get your money now.
You want the money.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Let's go to Kevin, who's been waiting. Hi, Kevin. How can we help you?
Hey, good afternoon, folks. Please forgive me, but I have two questions, and one of them was from last week. I had my Joe Biden moments, Sometimes,
Oh, my.
I wish I sometimes
You're falling down the stairs, right, Kevin?
Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised I remember to put my pants on sometimes. But anyway, hey, the first question is, what was the name of the good gentleman in your office? He gave me a name. Who knows about the exchange, the healthcare exchange?
I mean, Chris Moody, right?
Yep.
Moody, right? Moody. I thought of Moody's as Moody, the investment.
Moody's record keeping, right? Yeah. But
okay.
Chris
That's
Moody.
Right. Chris Moody. Good. All right, I write it and I now stuck it to my forehead. Okay. Hey, next question here. I know you're speaking taxes, but this kind of related in a way. Did you hear anything about student loans where if people don't start paying, garnishments and stuff is going to happen?
Right. You're dealing with somebody here
Common
that's
sense.
going to enforce the law. And the law is, if you have a debt, then you to the federal government, then under the full force of the federal government, they can go after you. So the people that have made student loans, I know that they must be very sad that they have to pay them back, but they have to pay them back.
Of course, yeah. I mean, hey, it's a
Well,
loan,
hey,
right?
yeah,
There's
but
no
that
such thing as
hasn't
a free
been
lunch.
the case,
I know that program where after 10 years the debt is forgiven. I was talking to some clients and they said that even that has been suspended. And so it's sort of like they're hearing stay tuned, and they're very nervous about it. Because there's a lot of clients, Kevin, that I have, they said, oh my God, I looked and my debt was gone. And so, I mean, people are just amazed. Aren't you amazed when a client says their student loan debt was gone, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of that, and hopefully the government doesn't go back for those fortunate ones and say, oh, we're sorry, you now owe it again.
But I'll tell
right.
you, I mean, I paid for all the student loan debts, and I did the right thing. And God bless you if you can get it waived because of maybe you're sick or you have some kind of a medical problem, and they're going to let it go. But that's why when kids are going to college, they have to understand that they're really engaging in the business of something that's going to follow them for years after they graduate, and not to make that debt if you can't afford it.
Right. But you know what? It's kind of really unfair. It's unfair to the folks who pay it through their nose.
That's
and
true.
then all of a sudden, well, without calling anybody in particular, but all of a sudden, certain individuals saying, hey, just join the federal government in its employment ranks.
Right.
And we'll wipe it off. Or, hey, I'm going to do executive order and wipe that off. So where's the
Right.
reward for working hard and paying back what you were
Well,
doing?
and so that's what makes Trump look like such a bully, is because he's going after people that owe Social Security, They had gotten overpaid. He's going to start garnishing. I'm going to use garnish, but it's not really garnish. But they're taking back part of their Social Security because they owed the federal government. The same thing with student loans. So either you have to have a government that says we're going to use the rule of law or not.
Right. Well, just give me $5,000 and not 500, Mr. Trump, and we'll be okay. We can start feedback. All right, catch you guys.
Hey, Kevin,
Thanks,
put on
Kev.
put on
Kev.
your fancy derby hat.
Oh yeah, I thought this was a recording. I thought you guys there. I thought I saw folks looking like you in Kentucky there. But by the way,
Yeah, right.
Don't you have a horse? Don't you have a horse called E.G. Tax there in the lineup?
No, we don't have a horse. We don't have a horse. Thanks, Kev.
Next year.
Thanks.
All right. I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. We have any text, Tiff?
We do have a text. It says, I was just reading about the Inflation Reduction Check. I filed this year, but did not owe any taxes. Will I get a check?
Okay.
Well,
You guys want to address
That's
that?
the New York check that, I didn't believe
The
now.
fall check, right?
Yep, the fall check that's been reduced from her first press conference to what is still trying to get worked out in the budget.
But that will be in the fall of 2025.
Correct.
So it
So
wouldn't
it's
have been
really smart,
something. It wouldn't
but
have been
it's smart
something he
to
got
file.
with his taxes.
I'm sorry, Tiff, for
Oh,
stepping
that's
in.
okay.
But it is smart to file, even if you don't owe taxes, just to make sure that you're in line for any handouts that the federal or the state is passing out. And really, the Doge credit is still being bantered around as well.
Yeah,
Right.
that was what Kevin was talking about. He said that he would love $5,000, and he chuckled, and he's right. I agree with you, Kevin.
Right.
And that's what he was alluding to because of the savings that the efficiency is bringing about.
So here, but let's go back to what we were talking about with the estimates. What's really concerning?
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry.
Of course.
And so that person, that texter said, "I didn't owe any taxes. Will I get a check?" And so, what were the parameters for getting the check? Do you know?
It was
Chris?
just filing a return.
Right, and
So-
under $400,000 gross
I
income,
think you should be
$200,000
fine,
single.
and you should get a check.
Right, especially if you didn't have to file.
Yeah.
$200
Yeah.
probably.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, but here's the thing you have to think about, and that's why I think that Ask the Tax Lady is really important, because if you're somebody that does estimated taxes, what you have to understand is what they're proposing, and I think they're going to pass it, is that there's going to be no tax on overtime.
Wow.
So you have to carve that out when you're doing your W-4
Wow.
or your estimates. No tax on Social Security. To you seniors out there, and myself, that's an unbelievable thing. There are so many seniors. It was interesting because back 30 years ago when they first passed this, the floor was $25,000 if you're single, 32 if you're filing a joint return. That's the same floor. But if you increase that for inflation, that would be more like $100,000 before you'd have to pay taxes. So if they make Social Security tax-free, that is, I mean, many seniors won't have to file anymore.
Right, and what planning too, even for those, how many of our people do we have that put the withholding on, and then their taxes on their Social Security is like $6,000.
Right.
What a savings!
So what I said to my clients is, let's move forward with the withholding on your Social Security, and then if they pass this, just stop, because then you'll get the refund next
Yeah,
year.
what I did is for that lady who was there the other day, I did the withholding on her Social Security, and then I printed her another form that you checked, I want to stop the withholding. So you print the same W-4 form and you check that I want to stop
But
the
you would
withholding.
assume that if they made Social Security tax-free, and this is not that they're stopping Social Security. Many people that are listening to me pay taxes on the Social Security you're receiving. What they're saying is it's going to be tax-free. So I would think that if there were backup withholding on these people, you would think that they would stop it if they knew it was tax-free.
Right.
Yeah. But
And then the
Yeah.
other thing is no tax on tips. And I don't know how they're going to magic carpet some of this stuff that they have proposed. But if you're somebody that works on tip income, that would be no tax. The other thing is the state and local income tax cap, the $10,000. We're in New York. I mean, many people are paying $12,000, $14,000 in property taxes, and they're paying $7,000 or $8,000 in New York State taxes, and you're limited to $10,000. They're talking about, and I just saw this last night on YouTube. They're talking about lifting that as well, so that whatever you pay in deductible taxes, you'd be able to take as an itemized deduction on the federal. So when I think about it, there should be seniors should be dancing in the street.
oh my gosh. Oh my Lord. Yes. And I see a lot of seniors who get tips while they're Uber driving and they're doing takeout taxi. I mean, seniors working, just a little bit and then getting these tips and then getting Social Security. You're right. It'll be wonderful.
All right. Then the other thing is, and I know this is so sad because I have many of my clients that I'd say, did you put in new doors, windows, furnace, hot water tank, insulation, so, heat, new furnaces? And they would say, no, I'm going to do it in 2025. Well, they're talking about eliminating the green credits. So
Yep,
that would be
no
a
more.
negative thing.
Yep.
But believe me, if you're not getting your Social Security taxed, you should be happy that your $200 credit for your door isn't going to come into effect. But these are things that, as these things unfold, and they're saying before, I think they're talking before Memorial Day, which is the end of May, that we'll know if these things are coming down the pike, so that we'll keep you abreast, so you'll know what to do.
Right.
Right?
Yep. So we got.
But the whole thing is, if you have income and you're going to owe more than $1,000, you have to do an estimated tax or change your withholding and your W-4.
And we'll
I'm Esther Golias. We're going to take a break for the news. Hey, to us, you are family, and EG Tax has not gone into a shell. We're still open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, special appointments for people that need special appointments. We're closed on Saturday and Sunday this time of year, but again, if you need help, we will help you. But you can always go to our website at egtax.com, ask the tax lady. If you fill that out, I answer your questions. So if you are complaining or you need somebody to counsel you, just write and I will counsel you. I want to help you. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, with Tiffany Fabian, Christopher Fabian, and we're here to help you. I wanted to talk about if you got letters from the IRS or the state of New York. We've said this before, don't ignore it.
Right. They will if you owe them money, they will, after a certain amount of time, they will put a lien on your property. They can seize money out of your bank accounts, take money out of your paychecks. So don't ignore and let us look at it, because a lot of the times it's not as bad as they're saying.
Right.
Or it could be favorable and too.
Well, you mean after we take a look at it?
After we take a look at it.
Right. But don't think it's a scam, because that's the way they can. The first round of communication is by letter. So if you've gotten a letter, don't ignore it. But you can call EG Tax, and we will sort through it for you to make sure that we help you. And if it's something that maybe it's self-employment income and you didn't claim it, but a 1099 came through to the IRS, we can reduce that by the expenses to produce the income, and so it's never what it seems to be.
Right.
And we're there to help you. So, but here's the thing, don't make a payment without making sure it's right.
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, 8030930. 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. One of the things I love is I love to hear people the politicians say. All these tax cuts are for the rich. Okay, so, the truth is that's not true. Because as your income, and especially as you guys that are listening, your income has increased, the benefits for many of the deductions and credits decrease. Because as your income goes up, they cap it and they take it away. So I was reading an article the other day, 7 tax loopholes rich people use to pay less taxes. So the first thing it said is they lose money on purpose. That is just stupid. Who would want to lose $1 million to get $1 million tax write-off? Because you really lost $1 million.
Yeah.
And if you're in the 10% tax bracket, you saved $100,000 in taxes, but you lost $1 million. So you're $900,000 in the hole.
All day long, I'll give you $20 if you give me $500. I'll do that all day long,
Right. Every deduction you get is multiplied by your tax bracket. So if you really lose $1 million in a business that you're trying very hard to make money at, all you can do is you take that loss and it's multiplied by the bottom bracket if you're that far under, which would save you $100,000. So you lose $1 million, you save $100,000, and you're saying, aha, but they saved $100,000, but they lost $1 million.
Correct.
I mean, that's the way it goes. And then it says they roll their losses forward. That's true. So if you had let's say you have a business and the bottom fell out and you've lost your money and you wiped out last year's 2024 income, you get to take the rest of it and roll it forward. But they lost money.
Yeah.
And wait, can't Joe Schmo down the street take that?
What do you think, Chris?
That's for average people too. We have clients
Oh, for sure.
who get to use the NOL.
Absolutely. And what you're saying is you don't have to be a gazillionaire to do these they're not loopholes. This only makes sense if you have a bona fide business and you really lost money. They allow you to take the loss, and you don't have to be a gazillionaire. You can be a guy that started a donut shop, and the donut shop caught on fire and you lost everything, and you don't have insurance. You get to take the same benefit that somebody that's a uber wealthy kind of person.
Right. Exactly.
Then it said they put their money in high income and tax advantage plans such as retirement accounts, high yield dividends, and life insurance policies. Guess what? So can you.
Mm-hmm. You want me to read a text or go to a phone call, or you got to
But I just wanted to
finish. Yeah.
But I mean, I hope that if you have money, my girlfriend just sold her house, and she's got $300,000 in her checking account.
Yeah.
And I said, why didn't you put it in a CD? And she said, because I don't know why. And I said, if you can get 4.5% right now in a CD. All right. So if you get 4% on your $300,000, that's $1,000 a month you'll have to spend, $12,000 in a year. When you are somebody that's looking at uber rich people and you're thinking, boy, that they really know what to do, because they do it. If you have money in your checking account and you don't have it in a CD or at least a money market account, if you're adverse to the market, you have to not get mad at rich people because they do it, because that's how they got rich, is they take advantage of everything that they can possibly take advantage, and you can too.
Exactly.
Right? All right, let's go to our text.
There's a text that says, great show, the only program that counts on Saturdays. Next, isn't that nice? Text. Did you say that New York State charges a penalty if you owe more than $500?
$300.
By people who pay estimated payments. Okay, $300. And do you
And,
want me to
and
read
the
another
penalty,
text?
hold on. That penalty isn't just for people who pay estimates. That's for anybody who owes over 300. So
Right.
if you reduced your withholding during the year and you owe 300, you didn't pay estimates, that's if your balance due to New York is over 300, yes, they will penalize you. There are some exceptions depending on what your tax was last year and what you paid in this year, but Yes, the 300 is the magic number.
Want me to go to the phones or another text?
Yeah, we'll go to the phones.
Okay.
Bert.
We got Bert.
Hey, Bert.
Hello.
How can we help you, sir?
I filled out my tax form, sent them in. $2,500 coming back. All of a sudden, I got a letter from them saying that I had to prove my identity. I played around, finally got my grandson to put me on the line, get me on Skype, talked to a guy, had pictures taken, did the identity. Got the identity done. It's been 3 months. You can't even get in contact with these people to find out what's happening. All you hear is it's being reviewed.
Yeah, they'll tell you it could take up 120 days, so 4 months. And if you call in, because we've called with people all the time, and you call in and you get somebody on the phone, they'll just tell you, oh, it could take up to 120 days. Thank you. Click.
Yeah.
Okay,
did
so
you
I
go?
should just
Did you
wait.
go to irs.gov to check on your status? I was just wondering what it says. Your refunds.
Okay.
Did you do that,
guess-
Bert?
Yes, I can do that.
Go to irs.gov, check on your refund status. Sometimes they'll put a phone number on there that you can call. So go to irs.gov, click on check your refund status.
Okay.
And if you need help, there's also a Form 911, which is getting a tax advocate involved. So you could yourself, or we could help you fill out a 911 form. And that's an advocate who can help you that works for the IRS but is separate from the IRS.
And I will tell you, not long ago in February, I had a client that was a new client, and his return was messed up, and they had billed him $10,000 that he didn't owe, but he paid it. And so I got a taxpayer advocate involved. And last Thursday she called and said, hallelujah, the IRS found their own mistake and they're getting the guy his money back. So
That's the 911.
Those kind of things are really important. So Form 911, and if you need help, we're here to help you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Text or the phone?
Text. Let's do text first.
Okay, so Esther, why are you saying this about tax law changes, especially about Social Security? Isn't this misleading for listeners dancing in the street?
No, I mean, you got to know.
You talked to me today. You said these changes could happen.
Well, I mean, I think they are going to happen. And I'm not saying that you should stop your anything, but I think you have to anticipate. I do everything anticipating what's going to happen so that the minute it happens, I'm there. I'm
Right.
doing it.
That's how
And
you do it.
ignorance is not bliss when it comes to taxes. I'm going to tell you this right now. So anything that happens, you want to make sure you're on the cutting edge of everything. Believe me, I'm not telling anybody it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen. But more than anything, you got to keep your ears and your eyes open and say, wow, it did happen. Let's move on this.
One step ahead.
Because I will tell you, if they do that, the first thing I'm going to do is do seminars, because it would be it will be a radical change in the tax structure, especially for seniors, and I would like them to get as much money out of their IRAs as possible. So to me, it's a race against time, because let's face it, on 12/31 of 2025, the tax year ends, and so if you were happily putting your head in the sand and you didn't do anything, you miss it. And
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to miss it.
Sort of like your friend who should have put the money in a CD, you know?
Right.
Right.
And and she just says, well, and the thing is, you want to do something, and I want people to know that the original on the House is going to the Senate. They got it all in there, so I want you to be aware. Okay, what else we got?
You want to do Jeff before or
Yes.
Jeff?
Hey,
How
Jeff.
are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Okay, my question is, I'm 62. I've been a business owner for 40, and I talk to a lot of my friends that are in the time of life where they could possibly collect Social Security. Problem is, I don't want to stop working, and many of the people in my age group are great parts of the workforce and want to keep working.
Yeah.
However, if they want to collect their Social Security, you can only make so much, and then you get penalized.
22,000.
How old are you?
62
62.
But how much is your net profit?
from your business.
Are you an S corp, a sole proprietorship, a partnership?
3 businesses I own. They're all S corps or LLCs.
All right. So how much is your net? All right. So how much are you taking in salary?
Way more than 22,000.
Okay, but the thing is,
100.
so in your situation, you're going to have to wait for regular retirement, which is going to be 66. At 66, you can collect your full Social Security and
as
have
much
your
you
wages.
But you're right, Jeff, you're right. That age group is an amazing contribution to the workforce, and it's a shame that they have to wait till like 66.
Well,
So
they
my-
don't
my question
necessarily.
is-
I mean, if they're making less than 22, maybe they want to go on part-time, you know.
So
Right.
here's my question, my real question. What is because nobody can answer it, what's the purpose of penalizing us when let's say I made 100,000, I'm still paying into the Social Security tax system and collecting my $3,000 a month, I'm still contributing to Social Security. So why penalize a part of the workforce that we need? Because there is no workers from most industries.
Okay, you want to know what I think it is? I think that the federal government realizes that as people age, everybody thinks they're going to live forever, me included. So you don't think you're going to ever be passing on. So you think, I'm going to wait till 70 to collect, so then I can get the most. What they don't realize is they're leaving all that money on the table, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so when they wait to 70, then they're going to get that 32% extra, but that's the money they didn't collect. As you go past 70, the likelihood of you living becomes less and less and less and less. So I think it's a way that the federal government has figured out that
Hedged.
they do better off if they get people to wait. That's my opinion.
So if I keep working and I wait for the 5 years, it's about $180,000 that I'm leaving on the table.
Right. Mm-hmm.
When I pay about $75,000 a year in income tax.
But
And
they will
so-
adjust, they're going to adjust your Social Security by all that extra FICA that you're paying in once you start collecting as well.
Which means I come out with little to nothing.
Well, it's better, but you're still going to get the money you paid in. You're still going to get $2,800 a month. You know, and as you,
Penalize you?
pardon me?
Don't they penalize you if you make over 22? Let's say
Yeah,
I
you
make,
have to pay back $1 for every
if you're
$2.
if you're under normal retirement age, yes, your income is capped. So you are not going to be somebody who's going to collect Social Security before you reach normal retirement age. You're going to be 66 before you start collecting, and that's when you'll start collecting. But there are those people that say, I'm going to wait till I'm 70, and if that's the case, they're just leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, and they're going to get extra at 70, but you have to be 83 to break even.
So in essence, I either stop working and make
No.
less than 22,000.
No.
If you want to collect,
If you wanted to collect, but why would you stop working? You wouldn't stop working. Just wait till you're 66 and start collecting.
Right, but then, like you said earlier, I leave about 180,000 on the table.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that except for stopping working. And you're making 75,000. Why would you stop working?
No,
And
make-
anyway, right now you can load up your pension plans and all that stuff. It gives you great opportunity
Until
to
he
get ready for
reaches
retirement.
65, he could put money into an HSA.
Right. There's all kinds of things
So
you can do.
do you see the foolishness where they're.
Well, I'm not
Yes.
saying that this meant, I know they said, Musk said this was a Ponzi scheme. It is a Ponzi scheme, right?
I know that.
But, what can you do? It is what it is.
Right.
Hey,
You
thanks
got
for
it.
calling. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. We're taking a short break. We'll be back on the other side. Hey, to us, you are family. This is Esther Golias, the tax lady, and we're talking taxes and Social Security and all those angles that really, you just really got to be careful out there. You got to put a pencil to the paperwork just because you get such bad information. And you can call EG Tax anytime. We're going to give you our 2 cents worth. You're free to do whatever you want to do, but I will tell you some of the things that are proposed by people that are supposed to be financial planners may not be in your best interest. So we want to give you another way to think about things. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. This other, going back to the thing, and I know we have a text, why rich people pay less taxes. It says they write off expensive assets such as lavish meals, planes, and yachts. No, they don't.
No, not allowed.
You cannot write off a yacht. And if somebody has a plane, that is true if it's a company jet, but my God, they would be way out there in making money. And you can't take anything lavish. It's in the code.
I remember somebody got audited for having a plane because they said they used it more personal.
That's right, and they got in trouble for that.
Right.
They lost the audit.
Yeah.
Then the other thing, it says they hire their kids. I hired my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you hire your kids, that doesn't mean anything, right? Except that they're really good.
And you don't have
and
a
the
horse
apple
in
don't
the-
fall far from the tree.
Yeah, and you don't have a horse in the Kentucky Derby.
And I don't have a horse in the Kentucky.
And boy, do we know, we do have people who have horses, and that's not a very successful business.
No, that's a very bad thing. And then it says, and they become philanthropic. Well, I'm very philanthropic. I really believe that you should give, because when things have been given to you, you should give it back. And so any success that I have comes from our clients we serve, and I believe in giving back. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. So, when I saw that article, I just thought, how misleading. It's not true. People that are wealthy, thank God, because they work hard and they have incorporated other people into their business. And somebody's got to take a risk.
Yeah, there's
Because it's risk and reward.
2 texts and a phone call.
Okay, all right. Shut up, Esther.
Okay.
All right, first text.
Esther, if Social Security becomes tax-free, would it be worth us to collect it early at 65 because of the tax-free income, and it won't count against earnings? Because if we take withdrawals from our 401k, far less could be taxed, and it'll lower our tax bracket. Also, if this is something that could it be revoked down the line, or would that be political suicide?
Well, I mean, with politicians, I never make a plan. I've always believed in what's here and now is what I should do, because you never know what the politician's going to do. So right here and now, if they change that law, you should do the most you can. That's why it's so important to me that I would be able to get out to everybody. Think about this. If you had $25,000 in Social Security that was taxable on your tax return, and that's gone, why not do a Roth conversion? Go from a traditional to a Roth. It's free. Right? I mean, there's all kinds of planning that I want to do once I figure out because it's if, ands, ors, or buts. You never know what they're going to do as far as modifications. They might say, if you make $1 million, you can't do it. But I want to make sure that if it's only 4 years that it happens, then great. It's 4 years, and do what we can do.
Right.
Yep.
And let's
go to Art.
And that's what we want we want to make sure we get our people to do.
Right.
Art.
And we got Art in Florida.
Hey, Art.
Oh, hey, Esther, how are you?
I'm good.
Question. So I sold a property up in New York, and I had to pay, it's for a restaurant, I had to pay the 10.9% on the gain on it. But it wasn't a very large gain. And if I were to go and, like, I guess, file a New York return, I'm going to pay more to file my New York return than I paid in taxes.
Well, how much are you going to owe in tax? How much is the gain?
I don't know. I only paid like $100 or something.
You mean they took $100 out of you, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, if we do it, we won't charge you $100.
Well, wait.
You should file your return. Yeah.
The thing
Is it worth?
if you don't file a New York return, New York doesn't know the cost basis.
Right, and they're
So
going to bill you at some
they're
point.
going to bill you based on the sale price.
Well, no, they did.
No,
Well, that's
no.
what we had
You
to-
filled out a form saying this is what I believe my gain is going to be. So you prepaid like an estimate. The tax return itself puts the 1099-S on the tax return, but that only shows the sale price. It doesn't show the cost basis. So if you sold the home for $200,000, New York State, if you don't send a return to New York, they're going to say, oh, this is a New York sale. You owe us tax on $200,000.
Which ultimately is going to be the $100 that you're talking about. Why not just avoid the mess and get it done?
Well, I got you. All right, so I should go back and basically file a New York
Yeah,
return.
right. And we're not. And if you call us, we're not going to charge you $100. So, okay.
Or I can go over to Tamiami Trail and stuff.
There you go. You can talk to our guy over there. To Diego.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. Thank you for calling. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax. If
you want the
could-
tax really quick?
Yeah, well, let's do the
If
tax.
you work and want to collect Social Security at 62, they would withhold $1 for every 3 to 4 you earn over 22,000. At full retirement, they will add all that with withheld and prorate it over 15 years and up to your benefit. I think that's
but
what you
people
were...
really. I mean, that is true. But the thing is, you have to understand that if you're paying it back, that's maybe not the best thing to do anyway. So let it grow so that there's that computation. Because what's happening is you have to rely on the fact that somebody in some no man's land is going to make sure that it gets ciphered out properly. Because I know myself, I contribute every year to Social Security. I keep working, and I have to call them every couple of years and say, "How come you don't give me an increase?" Well, we didn't think about it. We'll get to it. So anyway, during the week, 8030930. Oh, we're not going to do that anymore. You can call us 632-7886 at our corporate headquarters. We're at 1890 Colvin. We're open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. If you have tax questions, letters, you can go to our website at egtax.com. We want to help you. And I certainly don't want to mislead anybody, but if they pass the Social Security thing, I will be dancing in the street. All right. Until next week, I'm Esther Golias with Tiffany Fabian, Christopher Fabian. God bless you. Thanks for listening.